Okay, now we are in the second video and the step-by-step in writing a research paper, part 2. In the previous part, in part 1, we have discussed on how to select the topic, that you should narrow it down into your field of interest. Do not make it too wide or too big. We also have talked on how to formulate risk questions, that it should be feasible and worth investigating. And the last, we also discussed that your research project, the thing that you want to write, should have a significant or contribution. If you have missed this information, you can come back to the previous video in step-by-step in writing research paper part 1. Now, if I have already a topic to study, to carry out, so what is next? Should I begin writing? Well, this is the most common question that people have in mind, whether you should directly go writing after you have selected and decided the topic you are going to study. The answer is, in my opinion, you should not begin writing, but you have to overview what you have. Number 1, you have to identify, understand your own background knowledge. For instance, if you are about to study Japanese language and you are not coming from Japanese community, you don't speak Japanese and you have never learned Japanese language, so maybe you need to also now to increase and enrich your knowledge on Japanese language. If you want to study linguistics, especially in pragmatics, but you have not studied pragmatics, so you have to bear in mind to read more on pragmatics to make you and your background knowledge good. After that, you may have questioned whether the study that you want to investigate, you will get access to discuss later with your colleagues, friends, or lecturers. The person that you trust can give you insights about your study. Of course, you also need to have the books and references. But most of them, the most important thing that you need to get access. You have to get access to the colleagues, get access to the books, references, journals, and also you know what to increase or to enrich from your understanding based on your overview to yourself. So let's go by choosing references. After you have selected the topic and you know your own strengths and weaknesses, now you are going to enrich your understanding on that topic. So you can begin by reading most of relevant studies in the field you are about to investigate. If you are about to investigate Japanese language and you focus on the grammar, so you might consider to read first everything related to Japanese language and everything related to the grammar of Japanese. Again, you could later specify it to which kind of grammar you are interested in. Should you write a research paper by first reading books? I think it is good to begin by reading journal article to write a research paper. Why is it so? Reading journal articles, it means you read the summary of relevant sources in the field. You read the content of most studies in the field. So I think it could be better by reading journal article first instead of reading the book. Besides, the book may contain a lot of pages, compared to journal article which is smaller. So I think it will boost your motivation to read the paper. Afterwards, you can support it with theoretical basis from the books. After understanding journal articles, you cite, you understand, confirm your understanding, and then you can later validate it, confirm your understanding with the source from which you are reading. If you have questions, where should I search for references? So the answer are various. There are abundant of sources that you can access freely. For example, you can go to Google Scholars, Sci-Hub, Library Genesis. If you are enrolled to a particular university, for example, you are a university student of UIN Malang, so you could figure out the references from Linkspringer or Emerald. So you can just understand and ask your own university from which you can get access to references. In addition, some authors may have personal website where they provide and share their publication. So you can go to that personal website of the authors and access the publication. Okay, now after you understand and selected the topic and you have read the relevant studies in the field, what to do next is that you have to map the relevant studies, identify and overview them. What are the elements? Number one, you can make such kind of columns in Excel or Word. What information are needed? Number one, you could provide information on the author. Besides the author, you could also provide information on the year. Of course, it's important to provide the topic because you are going to map only relevant studies. It could be relevant in terms of the topic, in terms of the method, in terms of data, theory, or maybe in terms of approaches that you are about to investigate and to carry out. For example, I have two studies in metaphorical expression or metaphor in politics. Number one, it is Rafiq study. The data that Rafiq employed is all expression regarding metaphor that he took in the speeches of presidential from January to March 2010. The method that he used is qualitative and he used Lekov. If you see this table, you know that these two studies employ the same theory and the same method. What makes them different is that first the data, second the specific topic. The first one focusing on metaphor in politics, the second one Degas focusing on critical perspective in using metaphor. This step is very salient to synthesize research gap. As I have mentioned previously, that those studies are investigating metaphor, but from different perspectives. So this gap of the research would only be able to be seen if you could later identify all relevant studies in your field, and you know what thing that is not studied yet, or the thing that might be enriched or extended from the previous studies. How to do that? So based on the previous column, you could fill in all relevant information from your papers so that you can understand and know the difference and similarity. Try to overview, focusing on similarity and differences. Similarity in terms of theory, method, data, or perhaps the approach that they use. The most critical point is that you have to find out the weakness and strength of the previous studies so that you can formulate the reason why your study is worth investigating. In most cases, novelty is the fundamental question that reviewers will ask to you about your project or your study. So, on the basis of the previous schemata or the meta-analysis, you could draw the gap of your research so that you know where to go and why it is crucial to conduct. Again, this novelty or research gap could only be attended, could only be reached if you have scrutinized the similarity and differences of previous existing studies in the field. You cannot directly go into the claim that you have novelty, you have research gap, without providing the similarity and differences of existing studies. So in the next video, we are going to talk about on how to write first an abstract, second how to write an introduction, followed by how to write theoretical framework or review of the literature, and then we are going to discuss on how to write research method, and we are going to close the discussion on how to write findings and discussion. So should this video fit you, have a look and watch the video to make the research paper ready. Thank you and see you.